In 1841 they put me corduroy breeches on, they put me corduroy breeches on to work upon the railway. Filly me oody irie, a filly me oody irie, a filly me oody irie to work upon the railway. Now in 1842 I left the old world for the new bad cess, the luck that brought me through to work upon the railway. A filly me oody irie, a filly me oody irie. Filly me oody irie to work upon the railway. Well, it's pat do this and pat do that without a stocking or cravat, and nothing for an old straw hat while working on the railway. A filly me oody irie, a filly me oody irie, a filly me oody irie to work upon the railway. Now in 1843 'twas then I met sweet Biddy McGee.
In 1901, those two railroads merged to form the Maryland and Pennsylvania Railroad, also known as the Mullen Paul. Now, unlike its predecessors, the Mullen Paul prospered for a long time. It carried a lot of slate from Delta, farm machinery, agricultural products, millions of gallons of milk every year from the farmers to both York and Baltimore. This was a commuter line. People rode it back and forth to work. And it also carried the U.S. mail. As the road started to improve and the automobile come into greater use, the number of passengers started to decline. And in 1954, the railroad lost the mail contract to trucks. The mail heavily subsidized passenger service, so in 1954, passenger service ended on the Mullen Paul. Down in Maryland, most of their business had been commuters. There were very few shippers. The railroad only lasted until 1958 when they started to tear up the tracks. Up here in Pennsylvania, it survived a good bit longer. In 1971, the railroad took a big hit when the Funkhauser slate quarry in Delta shut down. At the time, the slate hauling was providing about 2/3 of their operating revenue. This section of track from Delta up to Red Lion fell into disrepair, was placed out of service in 1978. In 1985, the railroad applied to abandon the line up to just south of York, and that was granted. 86, the scrappers come in to start tearing up the track. Last same year, a group of people who wanted to save part of the old railroad got together with their own money. They purchased a 7.8-mile segment of the right-of-way between Bridgeton and Laurel. Bridgeton's about 5 miles south of the station. Laurel's about another 1/4 mile up here. That's what you are riding on now, and that was the start of the Mullen Paul Railroad Preservation Society. Everybody you see here, we are all volunteers, even the people who do the track work. This is all done by volunteers, and it is hard work. But we have a dedicated group of people here who want to keep the railroad and the history alive. Now, we can always use additional help. We need docents in the store, the mill, ticket agents, train operators, if you like to work on heavy equipment, or even if you like to get out here and do some track work. You don't know how much fun you have been missing wrestling those 240-pound cross ties. We have a ball doing it. If anybody's interested in helping us out in any capacity, we would love to have you join us. Just talk to the clerk in the store when we get there.
Sweet Biddy McGee, she went to heaven. If she left one child, she left 11 to work upon the railway. Filly me oody irie, filly me oody irie. Well, it's filly me oody irie to work upon the railway. Now in 1848, I learned to drake me whiskey straight. It's an elegant drake that can't be bait for working on the railway. A filly me oody irie, a filly me oody irie. Filly me oody irie to work upon the railway. A filly me oody irie, a filly me oody irie. A filly me oody irie to work upon the railway.